Was there a conflict of interest in your giving paid speeches into the run-up of your announcement that you're running for president?
The answer to the second is no. And the answer to the first is I have said repeatedly, I want those emails out. Nobody has a bigger interest in getting them released than I do. I respect the State Department. They have their process that they do for everybody, not just for me. But anything that they might do to expedite that process, I heartily support. You know, I want the American people to learn as much as we can about the work that I did with our diplomats and our development experts, because I think it will show how hard we worked and what we did for our country during the time that I was Secretary of State.
Ha! All right, folks, Malzberg panel time. Joining us on the panel, Elura Nanos. She's attorney at Let'sLawyerUp.com is where you can find her, and author of How to Talk to Your Lawyer. And Katrina Pearson, spokesperson for the Tea Party Leadership Fund, PAC, and former Republican congressional candidate from the great state of Texas. All right, welcome to both of you. Let's start with you, Katrina. Hillary actually spoke. She spoke to the little people today after about 30 days. And I mean, you saw those eyes and that head while the person was asking the question. Oh, my God. Anyway, of course she wants the emails released as soon as possible after the State Department said they would release them next year. But a court said, you're going to release them as you get them, as you go through them. Because she kept all the important emails that would make her culpable. That everything she released, there's not going to be anything there.
Well, she wants everyone to know, she wants the public to know what she did, except she forgot to end that sentence by saying, oh, but I erased my server. So no one's going to buy this. I'm not even sure why she's still walking around that right now. If this had been a Republican, she would have been indicted at this point. And the fact that they're still letting her walk around, not answering questions, not subpoenaing that server, and doing anything other than listening to Hillary Clinton's word on the issue is absurd.
Elura?
I just don't really get the point of that criticism. I mean, are we to argue that State Department officials should just, turn over everything without any kind of redaction and throw caution to the wind with regard to national security? This is the kind of thing that we want done properly. We want it done right, not necessarily done quickly, because we really do want to make sure that the interest in criticizing a political candidate is not made
Elura,
paramount.
She had these emails under subpoena for 2 years. Requests were in for 2 years before she handed them over. It's all supposed to be handed over when you leave the State Department. She then went and picked and chose with her staff. I'm sure Uma had a big part in this. What was relevant and what wasn't. And she's the sole judge of what was relevant and what wasn't. And now we know about all the shady dealings and the things that stink to high heaven regarding her time at the State Department. And if she has her way, because she wiped the server clean, we're never going to see the relevant emails. This woman, just on appearance alone, should not have the gall to run for president.
I really think that you're making a scandal here where there just isn't any, okay? If you want to tell me that we have documentary evidence about wrongdoing, I'll listen to that.
She erased it.
Well, hold on.
Elura, she erased the evidence.
Not only that, it's not just that, because Elura just said that we don't have any proof. We need the process. The problem here is Hillary Clinton avoided the process by putting these emails on her personal server. So absolutely, they should bring in every single email, that server included, and find out what happened. We had people who died. Our ambassador died, and she's communicating with people off the record.
Oh, stop. The answer is not to be overly inclusive just because we want to nail this woman to the wall. That's just not the way things are done. This needs to be handled properly.
Wrong.
We need to see what's relevant. We need to not see what's irrelevant.
Elura, the whole point is we will never see it if Hillary has her way because she destroyed any evidence. She told us she did. Period. We're coming back with more of the panel. Don't go away. All right, we're back with the Malzberg panel, part 2. Elura Nanos is here, and Katrina Pearson. And let me start with you, Elura. Of course, our policy towards ISIS, which seems to be non-existent, not only in my opinion, but in the opinion of former Defense Secretary Robert Gates, who said that We have no strategy. We basically are playing this day by day, he said. As we watch ISIS raise the flag over Ramadi, where so many Americans' blood had been shed, and we took Ramadi, we had Ramadi, but this president has no interest, apparently, in defeating ISIS. We're watching them have parades in the streets, convoys with the flags waving. Nobody bombs them. We just let them celebrate. And now they're about 60-something miles from Baghdad, which I'm sure will be their next triumph. What is going on here with this White House and this administration?
Look, Steve, I mean, I think that Gates is probably right in saying that things are not going as they should be going over there. This is a complex problem. I think that it needs a complex solution. And to the extent that the Obama administration has made a solution, obviously it has not been completely effective. But I think it's disingenuous to really characterize it as if the government, our federal government, isn't interested in fixing the problem. I think this is a complicated matter.
Complicated?
And I think that Gates...
You go beat the crap out and kill the enemy. That's what you're doing more.
Well, I think that that's really an oversimplified take on it.
Okay, well, how complicated is it? What do we need to do? Get them jobs?
Gates' solution, to me, sounded right, which is not necessarily more people, but different training, use the people we have in different ways. That, to me, sounds like a practical solution coming from the right source.
All right, and Katrina, how many more Christians are going to have their heads chopped off while this president does nothing?
More than I can stomach. And I will say that when George Bush was in the administration, there was nothing complicated about how to handle terrorists. And we
just go in, just invade, don't even worry if there's any good information. That's not complicated.
After the surge, we saw what happened. Obama decided to put the terrorists on notice. Hey, everyone, we're leaving. Come on in. It didn't look back. That's not how you handle the terrorists in the country. And again, a year ago, it's just a JV team, and now they're actually taking over. And our president is just sitting there saying, well, maybe we should, like Steve said, give them jobs. That actually came out of the State Department's mouth. So you cannot say that this president is taking this seriously.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous to characterize any administration as not taking terrorism seriously. The fact that policies are not perfect, that this is a complex situation, that there are going to be failures along the way is not evidence.
Where's the successes along the way? This president, you talk about not looking at information, this president called them a JV team. And we could have stopped them from the get-go, from the beginning, when they were organizing, when they were gathering, and ignored them as a JV team. Look what they are now. And now it's too complicated for him to deal with. He needs, what, another study committee maybe to take 6 months and give him recommendations? I mean, this is insane.
I mean, there is no easy
solution.
solution.
There is. You kill the enemy. You go to war and kill them.
I think
that's the answer.
I think that it's very easy to sit in a TV studio and say, just kill them.
Well, what would you do then? If not kill them and not give them jobs, as the State Department said was part of their policy, then what?
I mean, the former Secretary of Defense is saying go in there and train people differently than we've been doing and use different types of tactics. To me, that sounds like an absolutely reasonable solution.
Right, and that should take about 2.5, 3 years, and we'll probably have about another 500, maybe 50,000 Christians dead, Jews dead, women dead, enslaved, raped. Doesn't matter. Just let's stall this as long as possible, Katrina.
Well, you know, it's kind of sad to hear the opposite argument, considering what is currently happening right now. But at the same time, I think you can, at this point, say that this administration is not taking this seriously, considering he's taking every opportunity to slam Christians in the discussion over radical Islamic extremists, which is a term that he still has not said to this day.
Let me tell you something, Katrina and Elura. If these were Muslims who were being beheaded all over the Middle East, not just by ISIS, if these were Muslims who were having their mosques burned, and if these were Muslim women who were being captured and enslaved, we'd be over there with boots on the ground, killing whoever the heck is doing it. This man, Elura, is not moved by dead Christians, he's not moved by dead Jews, and he's not moved by dead cops. But Michael Brown got 3 people at his funeral.
I think that that's an argument that really sounds good, but really is not based in any actual
Have you seen his reaction to dead Christians and dead Jews?
I really just think...
Is there emotion in the man? Is there feeling in the man? He shrugs.
I think that basing the success of a political operation on a military operation based on the perceived emotional response to various things...
No, I'm talking about his response in general. When rabbis are slaughtered in a Jerusalem synagogue and 3 of them are Americans with meat cleavers.
And what? If President Obama went on television and cried about it, that would make you feel better about military response in the Middle East? It wouldn't make me feel better.
You harm another American and you're going to feel the wrath of Americans' might. that will put fear in people. Shrugging doesn't do it.
That's the kind of response, the kind of emotional response that George Bush showed in the public. That's why he was elected, and that's why people liked him, and that's also why things didn't go well on his watch.
And that's why people in the latest poll by Gallup in December has a higher approval rating than Barack Obama, George W. Bush. Thank you, Elura. Thank you, Katrina. Folks, we're coming back. Don't go away.